Hello, 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 hello. Yes, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. We are grateful. Wow, wow, wow. This is massive. This is really massive. Wherever you're joining us from, can you just indicate? Tell us where you're joining us from, all across Nigeria and the diaspora. Tell us where you're joining us from. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, we say good morning. Good morning from Nigeria and FCT, the state capital of Federal Republic of Nigeria. We want to say thank you so much, everyone, for joining all the way from where you're joining from. So we'd want to know where you're joining us from. Rep your state, rep your state, rep your state. If you're joining us from FCT, let's see. You're joining us from Taraba, let's see. If you're joining us from beautiful, I can see Gloria all the way from Bayelsa. Thank you. I'm seeing Olivia from Lagos. Beautiful, beautiful. FCT. Ephraim is here already. We have Balogun all the way from Lagos. Come on. We're seeing Okon from Bauchi. Beautiful. Let's keep it coming. Osun State is also represented here. Kwara is represented. Anambra, Rivers. Let's keep it coming, ladies and gentlemen. Just tell us the states you're joining us from. And I think you can go to your groups and tell your classmates, tell your friends, tell everyone, send on your WhatsApp status that we are here and we want to make it happen. If you're not here, you're missing. If you're not here, you're missing. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to say welcome once again to our annual and monthly meetings where we get to talk about right and timely issues that is existing in the continent, in the universe as we speak. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, all the way from the HQ, we want to say thank you for joining. And we believe we have different sector of people joining all the way from Nigeria. We have core members, we have artisans, we have different audience all seated here, professionals from different fields. I bet you today is one of the days you wouldn't want to miss, and you would want your friends to also benefit from what is going on here. So, ladies and gentlemen, in just 1 minute in the chat session, can you just tell us what are your expectations from today's event? And you can also help us if you remember the topic we're going to be discussing with today. You can also put it in the chat box so we get to know if you really understand where we are driving at today. We're talking about something very timely. We're talking about something that is very, very important to everyone that we are joining here. Yes, I can see people from Nasarawa State joining us. We want to say welcome, 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 welcome. My name is Oditayo David Maiwa, and I will be co-hosting here with my colleague in person of Mrs. Ewa. And she will be coming up very soon. But before she comes up, we're going to start with the national anthem. The national anthem. We're going to be starting with the national anthem. Ladies and gentlemen, are we ready to have the national anthem? If you are ready, please, can I see that you are ready? We have at the backstage that will be moderating with me today. We have Miss Nella Andem Ewa. She will be joining us today to co-host, and today's session, you don't want to miss it. You really don't want to miss it. Just tell us where you're joining us from, represent your state, ensure you're telling us what are your expectations as we get ready at the count of 3 for the national anthem. At the count of 3, if we are ready from the backstage for the national anthem, you can go on. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I can see the chat box and the comment section is buzzing already. And I expect you, whenever you join this, wherever you're joining this session, to actually help us put your virtual hands together for Nigeria. Nigeria may be blessed. Nigeria is blessed. Tell us where you're joining us from. Once again, we want to say welcome. And I believe everyone here is not in a hurry to go, because we are actually going to be taking you through a journey of impact, a journey of innovation, a journey of motivation, a journey that would want you not to settle for less. And I believe I, myself, my co-moderator Nella Adam Ewa, and many of the facilitators are already, and the speakers are already behind stage. Ladies and gentlemen, I think and I know you don't want to miss this. Go to your chat box, go to your WhatsApp group, go to your subgroups, tell them, guys, the event, the moderation, the webinar has started, and you don't want to miss out. Don't forget, we're going to be dropping the attendance, and to get all of us that are joining from all over the states at intervals. So you might not know when he's going to be dropping. So don't be in a hurry to leave. And at this junction, I'll be making welcome of my co-moderator in person of Nella Adam Ewa as she takes us on the journey. You all know the topic. So if you know the topic, please, can you comment it in the chat box? Let's know if you know the topic that we're going to be dealing with today. Or maybe some of us just joined in because they say we should join in. So if you know the topic, let's see it. It's talking about something that is pertaining about your future, talking about something that is pertaining about your purpose, talking about something that will take you to the next level, right? I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but at this junction, I'm going to make welcome. Please, can we put our hands together as I welcome co-moderator in person of Mrs. Nella Adam Ewa. She takes up the stage. Please, let's put our virtual hands together as we welcome her on stage.
Hello, everyone.
We are
Good
not
morning.
clapping, no. We are not clapping. Let me see you clapping. Thank you, Sini. Thank you. Thank you. Right.
Thank you.
Esther, thank you. Thank you. All right. All right. As you're also clapping, help us tell us your expectations. Right. Over to you, Nella Adam Ewa.
Thank you, Mara, for that introduction. Welcome, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good night from wherever you are in the world and in Nigeria. My name is Nella Ndemewa. As I've been introduced, I am a legal and policy professional. I am also a futurist and Afrofuturist to be specific, and I'm founder of a We Down South initiative, future-focused grassroots organization. I want to thank our host today, for this timely event, Mind Gap and Youthenomics, and because this is very important. And as we go through, as our speakers, we have three exciting and interesting and insightful speakers for you today. And the topic is understanding the pact of the future, its jobs and entrepreneurship opportunities. So why I say this is very timely is because at the core of this conversation is the Pact of the Future, which is essentially, just to give some context to what we're about to dive into, it is a commitment from global leaders across the world, specifically within the UN and other stakeholders, who realize that our current international frameworks we're not exactly adequate to solve the emerging and current global challenges. As a result of that, and after 9 months of back and forth consultations, the Pact for the Future emerged, which was adopted at the Summit of the Future, the UN Summit of the Future on 22nd September 2024, just last year. So this is very timely. And within that pact, you have 56 action items. And they're not just promises, they are action items, deliberate, specific action items. We will do this. We will work to strengthen youth participation. We will ensure science and technology improves women and youth involvement and equality in our global society. And there are five specific thematic areas: sustainable development and financing development, international peace and security, science, technology and innovation, and digital cooperation. I hope everyone is taking note. Youth and future generations, and transforming global governance. So these 56 action items are spread across these five thematic areas. And in addition to that, there are two annexures: the Global Digital Compact and the Declaration of Future Generations. So our three speakers are going to go into the crux of these issues and communicate to us, give us some insights as to how this Pact of the Future, how we can better understand it and leverage it. Because when you have global challenges, emerging global challenges, automatically, and in this case, we can even see a pathway or a roadmap to solutions. So naturally, that would create what? Opportunities. And this is very timely because this allows us to sort of bridge that connection, create a link between the Pact of the Future, the solutions it prefers, and the opportunities that have been created for youths and other persons to take advantage, to provide solutions, and also find ways to create jobs and entrepreneurship. So I am personally very excited about today's session. Our three speakers are knowledge filled, have very insightful and experience filled insights to give us today from varied sectors and across different development paths and even professional paths. And I think we should clap our hands in anticipation and look forward and get out our pens and our papers and whatever it is and whatever tools we use to take notes. And as we go through this, as we call each speaker and as you listen to what they have to say, any questions you have, please put them in the chat. There will be an opportunity at the end for your questions, and our speakers will take your questions. Just before I call on our first speaker, I thought we should keep this a bit interactive in anticipation of what we're going to hear. So there is a questionnaire, sort of, for you to answer. I believe it's on the screen. Yes. So if you can use your phones, as we're talking about in the digital age. So if you use your phones to scan the QR code on your screen, if it is showing. Or alternatively, you can go into menti.com and use the code 1509-6493. 1509-6493. Or you can scan the QR code, which should be on your screen. Alternatively, you can just put the answers in the chat box. The question is, what skills do you think will be most valuable in the next 10 years? We're here to listen to what the job and entrepreneurship opportunities are as a result of the Pact of the Future and understanding the Pact of the Future better. So I would love to see you fill out this questionnaire, answer the questions. If you cannot use the Menti app, you can just put your answers in the code: project management and strategic thinking, AI literacy, etc. Answer one of these five options just to get a feel of what you think. The code is 1509-6493. If you go to menti.com and put that code. Alternatively, you can scan the QR code. So while you're doing that, I would love to call on our first speaker. Mr. Rotimi Olawale, if he is here. And yes, and just before I call him, I would just say some ground rules. Please, everyone, stay muted. Everyone, be active. Listen. We have 10 minutes for each speaker, and they would give you strategic insights. So it is important that you're paying attention. It's important that you are listening, because this is for you. It is very valuable information that could potentially be life-changing. So please pay attention, please listen. I can see you're filling in the answers: project management, IT, keep them coming. And so I will introduce a speaker and allow him take the floor. Mr. Rotimi Alawale is the ED, or Executive Director of Hub Africa, and a board member of Africa Legal Think Tank on Women's Rights. He's a youth development expert with over 15 years experience, so you can imagine that wealth of experience. And I will hand over to him to give us our first presentation. Please clap your virtual hands as we welcome him to the stage. Mr. Rotimi, over to you.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here today to speak around the Pact of the Future. And I see from the link that we have many people who are joining us from all over the country today, and to welcome you. So in summary, what I'm going to speak to is just to highlight what the Pact of the Future is all about, and to bring to you the development journey that has led to the Pact of the Future. I think the development journey started many years ago. I would start it from the Millennium Development Goals that the United Nations came together to adopt in year 2000 as a set of minimum standard that the entire world would follow to ensure that we can reduce poverty in the world, but also bring development to every corner of the world, including Nigeria. The Millennium Development Goals started with a set of 8 goals, and I'm sure some of you are familiar with those goals. Those that served lead NYSC between year 2000 and 2015, there was a CDS actually dedicated to MDGs, where people learned about the MDGs, but also carried the message of MDGs across the length and breadth of Nigeria. And so as the world moved towards the end of 2015, the United Nations began to think about what would be the successor to the Millennium Development Goals. And that process started with what is called the post-2015 Development Agenda. There was consultation across the world, including in Africa and in Nigeria. And interestingly, that process was led by one of our own, who is now currently the United Nations Deputy Secretary General at the United Nations. I won't mention her name. I'm sure some of you know, and if you know her name, please kindly put it in the chat box for others to learn that information. So she led that conversation on behalf of the United Nations all over the world to help to synthesize what would be the successor of the Millennium Development Goals, which then led us to the Sustainable Development Goals. The Millennium Development Goals, MDGs, was heavily criticized that it was narrow. Very little consultation was done. Young people said they were not part of that process. But when the SDG was done, the consultations was broader. A lot of people took part in shaping the SDGs. And I'm sure many of you are also familiar with what the SDGs is about. But as we speak today, the roadmap to SDGs is also drawing to a close. This is year 2025. SDG was adopted by United Nations, at our heads of state at the United Nations in 2015. So we have seen 10 years of the SDGs. We have 5 more years to go until 2030. And for me, the Pact of the Future is that signpost that tells us what are we going to do post 2030. How are we going to be able to develop a set of goals, a set of outline that tells us what we would move forward to as we go to post 2030. And one of the things that the Pact of the Future did also was to convene a global discussion. Also starting from a regional conversation, there was a regional conversation for Africa in Addis Ababa, and then there was a global conversation at the United Nations in New York, where some of those who will be speaking to you today were part of that conversation at the United Nations in New York. The Pact of the Future, in summary, talks about a few specific themes. One of the themes is sustainable development and financing for development. And this, in summary, just looks at how do we finance development in a way that development can progress and that it is sustainable. You know, if Nigeria wants to develop today, we need financing to be able to do many things. If young people want to go into business, they need financing to be able to start up their business. They need capital for their business, and we need financing for many things that we do in Nigeria. So sustainable development and financing for development was one of the issues that has been highlighted as part of the Summit for the Future. The second one is international peace and security. For those of us in Nigeria, we know that peace is something that has become very important to us because of the challenges that we have faced with countering violent extremism in the Northeast, with bandits in different parts of Nigeria, and also with issues around kidnapping that we have seen in practically many parts of the country. And so we know that it's important that we build on the security architecture of the country to ensure that we can enjoy peace, and the money that we spend on our security budget can be used to further on other thematics such as education and health. One of the areas that excite me about the Pact of the Future is science, technology, innovation, and digital cooperation. And I'm sure for those of you who are IT experts or IT advanced user, like I like to call myself, I'm not an IT expert. I'm sure you have followed the conversation about artificial intelligence. And in the last 2 or 3 weeks, there's been a conversation about ChatGPT on one side and the DeepSeek that was developed by China on the other hand. But where is the role of Africa in all of this conversation? How does Africa play a role in situating ourselves within the global architecture and the global space on pushing forward the frontiers of science, technology, innovation, and digital cooperation? How do we ensure that our children, our kids who are in primary school today, I'm sure many core members served in school, how many schools have a computer lab that kids can go and learn even the rudiments? Because if you don't learn the rudiment, how can you innovate, and how can we ensure that our kids can innovate for the future? This is something that is important for us as a nation, and this is something that we must ensure that we continue to do. One of the things that the Pact of the Future also speaks about is youth and future generation. And it's about thinking about the future generation. I think for many years, for many hundreds of years, those who have led the world do not think about future generation. Even in Nigeria, when we extract oil in the 80s and the 90s, we did not think about the environmental impact that the extraction of oil would have on the Niger Delta. And so we must begin to lay emphasis on how do we prepare for the future generation. What do we lay down for them that they can benefit from all of the things that we are currently doing? If you see a country like Norway has one of the biggest and sovereign wealth funds in the world. I think Nigeria started its own sovereign wealth fund sometimes in 2007 or 2008, and now we have a sizable sum, if I recall correctly, somewhere in the tune of $2 billion is now in our sovereign wealth fund. But Norway has way much more that they have saved up from their own oil revenue for the future, for the benefits of future generation. And this is what the youth and future generation talks about. I think I will end here for now, because I know that there are other speakers who would have the opportunity to highlight and showcase what the Pact of the Future talks about. But in conclusion, my charge to everybody on this table is that it will be based on 3 things. 1, please recognize, if you have not done so till today, that you live in a globalized world. We do not necessarily live in a world that is bordered by, I live in Bayelsa State and I'm surrounded by only the states in the South, and so I'm only competing within that 4 walls. Or I am from Oyo State and I'm surrounded by Ogun State and Osun State, and that's where my competition is coming from. No, we live in a globalized world, and we must recognize that if you have not already done so. If you look at our mobile phones today, in the 90s, if you look at entertainment, for instance, in the 80s and 90s, the West produced entertainment and the rest of the continent, the rest of the world consumes it. But that is flipping, because today, many of the content that we consume is no longer produced in the West. It's produced by young people around us. It's produced by young people from all over the globe who have access to mobile phones and can do so. And so you must understand that opportunities have now become limitless. People will compete for your job from all over the world. AI is going to replace many people's current work position, but it's also going to open up several more opportunities. It's going to mean that we can do more in less time. Imagine back in the days when offices across Nigeria was staffed by typists with typewriter. Imagine how many times they have to correct when there's an error in that letter, and they have to go back to their boss who makes a correction on it, and they either use TPEX or have to type a fresh letter because the errors are too much. Imagine today where we can do all of this on our mobile phones, work on Google Docs and make this correction. Imagine what the future would look like when we integrate AI into our work and it shrinks the time it takes to be able to do work faster. Young people will lead in this front. They will disrupt the market, and we must ensure and always remember that we live in a globalized world and we have to lead from where we are. My final point would be that wherever we are in the world, whatever we do online, we must recognize that we're ambassadors of Nigeria. Many people don't think about this. You don't recognize that your small action, positive or negative, contributes to the brand called Nigeria. If you scam people online, then people will think Nigerians are not trustworthy. If you build trust online and in your relationships with people both locally and globally, then people will have a positive image of Nigeria. And so I leave you with my final charge as global ambassadors of Nigeria. I'm sure many of you will go and jackpot very soon. But when you go, please be good ambassadors of Nigeria wherever you go. And if you remain in Nigeria like some of us have done, continue to be good ambassadors of Nigeria. And I wish you well. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Ms. Rotimi, for that very succinct background and contextual information about the Pact of the Future. And those three take-homes. One, be ambassadors of Nigeria. Two, we should recognize that we live in a global world. There are no more gates and doors and boundaries and our opportunities are limitless, which even ties into the topic of today. We should realize that that the world is open to us and opportunities are open to us, and we should be able to take advantage and leverage that for our benefit and the benefit of our community. And lastly, we should also upskill. We should learn to upskill. AI is taking over, but it doesn't mean we have to be left behind. We can upskill, we can improve our skills and move with the times. And it was very useful to hear the different thematic areas in detail, and also to see where we can come in and how we can find opportunities there, whether it's in entrepreneurship or even in our jobs. So again, thank you so much, Mr. Rotimi, for that. I hope we have taken notes, we have gained some insights, and as I said earlier, please put your questions in the chat box. We will have an opportunity to answer those questions. Thank you, Mr. Rotimi. So I will now call our next speaker because of time. Please put your virtual hands together for Ms. Abaide Omimunu. She's a co-founder of the TEI and the Abaide B. Heki initiative. I hope I got that right. And she's also a climate change advocate with years and years of experience in this space. She's also a lawyer, so she has that cross-sectional experience. And I am personally excited to hear what she has to say today and the insights she has to give each and every one of us. So once again, please put your virtual hands together and bring out your pens, your papers, your tablets, your scrolls, whatever it is you take notes on, and make sure you keep your questions coming. Thank you so much. And over to you. Please, you have 10 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me. It's quite exciting that we're having this today, and it speaks to the dedication, we have towards our own future as a people, looking at the time we experienced at the Summit of the Future. A lot of things obviously, goes through my mind to ask the very simple question, where do we go from here? The conversations we've been having over time speaks to the fact that there's been a decline, in the progress of the SDGs. Mr. Rotimi gave an in-depth, into what the MDGs and the SDGs, sought to actualize and where we are as a people. I must just also pinpoint that whilst we have all of that going on, we also have the AU Agenda 2063 that speaks to our self-potential, that speaks to reliance on our self-potential as a people, as a continent. And so you can imagine when we were moving from the MDGs, when we were solely relying on aids and grants, and the SDGs came to say, hey, look, you can't always rely on grants and aids from developed nations because that is not sustainable. And we need to move from something that is actually short-lived to something that is actually more sustainable. And of course, the SDGs came. I like the fact that you also pointed out the fact that, in drafting the SDGs, there was actually a wide consultation. When I heard of the SDGs for the very first time in 2016, after its adoption, what came to my mind first was, how was it possible for the document to be all-encompassing? How is it possible that, it touched every area? And from my own research, for the SDGs to stand today, there was a one-on-one interface with over 1 million people cut across the various sectors of both the informal and informal sector. And of course, that has actually given rise to the fact that, hey, look, we have to achieve some level of progress and leave no one behind. Now, coming to the Pact of the Future, he has also gone deep. He has given a very, deep dive on what it means to us as a people, as young people, and the objectives of it. They are very simple objectives: to accelerate progress, particularly in poverty reduction, to tackle the issues of climate change, to improve international efforts to, and to prevent conflicts, to use digital tools. The world is evolving, to empower young people to have a voice, and of course, international organization collaboration as well. These are, key aspects of the Pact for the Future. And you will ask yourself, why do we have the Pact? The Pact is coming as a recommitment by world leaders for their people. We have not made progress. In fact, at the Summit of the Future last year at the UNGA, it was emphasized that we have not made any progress with the SDGs. And with the COVID-19 disruption, there was a major, decline. And so the Pact is here for us. And the UN, they've actually described the Pact as a critical document to actually ensure a just and sustainable world for all. Looking at the opportunities that this Pact posits, we would bear in mind that as much as we have the Pact here for us as young people, there are actually a lot of opportunities we can harness from the Pact. There are a lot of things we can come up with to see how beneficial the Pact is to us and to everybody around us. There are loads of opportunities when you look at the Pact critically. And just yesterday, there was a town hall. On the Pact for the Future, and it was presided by the President of the General Assembly, right in the at the UN House. And I was actually opportunity to sit in that town hall. And there was a lot of emphasis on young people, and the need for us to take this document, take this our future and hold it and drive this conversation and drive the implementation and ensure that this commitment translates to action, actual action. And what went through my mind, it was very coincidental because, I didn't even go to the UN for the town hall. I actually went for the Commission on Social Development. And I was just walking through the hall and I saw a signpost. I saw an e signpost saying, oh, there's a town hall conversation on the Pact of the Future, by the President of the General Assembly. And so I found my way in. And that's how I sat and I, joined the conversation. And it was really insightful. And it coincided with me being here today, this morning, to have this conversation with you. I actually wrote down a few things from that town hall. And I hope that we'll also get very inspired. Now, the Pact is here to ensure that there's actually more efficiency, and the whole commitment towards sustainability is actually operational. That's the whole idea of why we have the Pact. And what the Pact is also saying is, hey, look, tools have to be made available for these things to thrive. We cannot have the SDGs and complain of no progress if we don't have the tools to drive it. And like Mr. Rotimi said, the very first thematic area of the Pact of the Future is financing for sustainable development. These are key areas that we have to look into to drive, the actualization of this pact. If we must actually see progress, if we must reinforce commitments, if we must translate engagement to action, then we'll have to, ensure that financing for sustainable development is a key priority. Now, let's deep dive into the opportunities we have as young people, looking at the pacts, the opportunities that are, that are actually on our, should I say, on our table, and how we can be part of this evolution, because it is an evolution. And I remember very well, just last year, just before the Summit of the Future, the buzzword around was, hey, look, this Summit of the Future was going to be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for us young people to actually speak to our future. So you can imagine the excitement for people like us, who have always wanted to be in this kind of conversation and deliberate on how our future would be like. So the opportunities, there are loads of opportunities, and I'll just take a few and also allow you to look at the pact itself. For those of you who were able to attend the physical debriefing on the 31st in the central bank, you will agree with me that you have a physical document where you can actually revert to and, get yourself very acquainted with the provisions of the pact. Honestly, job seekers should actually develop career ambitions around these areas and skills, and the upskilling is actually important. Without the upskilling, you can't join the wagon, and that's the truth. You can't join the wagon. You will have to develop yourself. You will have to build capacity. You need to drive expertise around this area. And so, as young entrepreneurs, you have to learn to create business solutions around the content of the pact. What the pact seeks to achieve as a document. So there are a lot of opportunities, and I'll just state a few. The green jobs. I mean, that's a buzzword now. Green jobs. How do you align yourself with green jobs? How do you upskill to be eminently qualified to get a green job? Capacity building, trainings, education, courses, certifications, they are bound. And so even in tapping into the opportunities that the pact presents, you will have to upskill yourself. You have to get yourself right into the nitty-gritty on how to become eminently qualified for that role. And so careers in renewable energy, climate resilience, and even environmental conservation, these opportunities are abound now. They are open to it. So it means that what you have to do is, go into the internet, look out for certifications, look out for opportunities where you can get yourself upskilled, to this level. Digital and AI-driven jobs, of course, the roles in technology is actually abound. We can see the advent of AI. AI is literally taking over. You can literally turn a whole story. You can actually turn a whole narrative, just by using AI. And it shows how powerful AI is and how we all have to upscale and get to that point where we're not left behind. Yeah, sustainable agriculture and food security. These are opportunities in climate smart farming. Yesterday, I was opportunity to meet somebody, a gentleman who drives a climate smart agriculture in Africa, and he has presence in over 100 countries in Africa. I mean, these are opportunities that for people who are actually interested in agriculture, in smart agriculture, this is an opportunity for you to actually get right into it. I will definitely share, the contact of this person to the convener of this event and to see the possibility of, getting people who are interested, acquainted with this opportunity. We also have the circular economy and waste management, jobs that focus on recycling, upcycling, and reducing waste. See, there are a lot of things you can do with this opportunity. Even just advocacy, you just being an advocate for the pact, an advocate for one thematic area or all the thematic areas is actually an opportunity. So you can actually look into it, see how best you can come on board to be an advocate, how you can come on board to be someone who will build an expertise around the conversations to driving implementation of this pact. Now social impacts and governance as well, careers in policy making. I mean, one of the key things we all know is that once we have adequate policies on ground to drive implementation, then we're actually on our way to some success. And so as young people, what can you do? Interface with the National Assembly, interface with agencies of the government that actually need to drive internal policy or even external policies to drive implementation. So, I mean, there's actually opportunities that you can actually get yourself all wrapped in, and that's the truth. It's endless. It's endless, and these are just a few examples of what you can do as young people, given the pact we have now. The pact we have now, a pact. Let me use the exact words of a very good friend, who said, "We have a document that has been signed on our behalf." And so for it to have been signed on our behalf, it means that the onus is actually on us. We actually have the responsibility to actually understand that document and see how we can be a part of that document. Looking at its implementation, and of course the objectives it seeks to harness. So, ladies and gentlemen, I wouldn't want to take much time. I've been given 10 minutes. I think I've actually exhausted it, or I'm almost exhausting it. And I want us to just, hey, look, one of the things I have been able to observe, with coming here and having these interactions is, as young people, you have to be very audacious. You have to be audacious, be bold about what you want to do. The people I've had conversations with, I bet you, they don't even do as much as, what Mr. Rotimi, for example, has done, or what Mr. Tayo Oloshunde has done, or what he's currently doing. But guess what? What has actually set them apart is, hey, look, they can just sit down in comfort of their homes and send an email to the Secretary General to say, hey, look, I have something for you, and I want to do this to drive so and so for the United Nations. And they're called for a meeting. And you see them at those platforms speaking. I bet you, they don't even speak better than you are, better than you do. But hey, look, you are constantly at that position where you have to make a choice on whether to be audacious, be bold about your existence, and of course your objectives in terms of your career, and every other thing you want to pursue. Also, be very curious. Be very, very curious. I'm really excited for a number of people on this call. It shows that the pact actually concerns us and concerns you, and you're actually interested in knowing what that pact seeks to achieve for you. So I like the fact that you're actually curious. You're here today to learn from this pact, what it means, and the opportunities you can actually harness from this pact. Finally, I would say that in everything you do, whilst you drive, all of this, please exercise decorum. Yes, be decorous about it, be polite about it, position yourself as somebody who is a true leader. And who is a true leader? A true leader is that person who is able to juggle, and of course, achieve some level of success. And one of the key aspects of being a good leader, or being a leader at that level which you want to aspire, is one of the key things, one of the key soft skills you have to, get exactly, learn how to actually observe decorum as much as possible. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. And I do hope that you'd, beyond this conversation, you still, dive deep. Google is our friend. There's actually a lot of tools you can actually go on and, research as much as possible. Make your research, ask questions, send emails, be audacious, be curious, and of course, exercise decorum. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that amazing presentation, Mr. Omilmo. I'm sure we've all gained some insights from her presentation. I think for me, some key takeaways are: be audacious, be consistent, be curious, and exercise decorum in whatever you're doing and in your pursuit to leverage these opportunities. But what was also insightful was that she gave us just a few examples of the different ways we can leverage the Pact for the Future for jobs and entrepreneurship opportunities. She told us about the green economy. It's a growing, massive industry now, and it both provides opportunities and also impact for the community as we're looking to ensure that we stay within the planetary boundaries, so you can be sure that there are opportunities there. She also mentioned smart agriculture. We always need food, and we need organic and healthy food. And we need to be able to ensure we reduce waste as well, also in agriculture. And then also in even a more holistic way, policy advocacy, and in the policy sector, there always needs to be people who will bridge that gap between public stakeholders, the private sector, and the citizens at large. And that space is very critical in ensuring that we achieve the actions within the Pact of the Future. And as she also mentioned, this pact is for all. Through the development stages, we have come to this pact, and it's meant to ensure that it's for everybody. The stakeholders, the consultations, where it was deliberately targeting everybody. And so we in Nigeria and in Africa, we need to leverage that, but also domiciliate it, ensure that everything that, even we have a pact, and every nation is going to sort of ratify it in their own way. But we also in Nigeria, we need to take into consideration our own specific nuances. And that's why it is important for us to leverage it for our own communities, our own society, and ourselves as well. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for that insightful presentation. I hope everybody took note and you're saving your questions, or you're writing them down as well. Without further ado, because we're hoping to close at the top of the hour or just slightly after that, I will call on our next speaker, Dr. Babatunde Adelakun, if he is here. He's a public health consultant with over 2 decades experience in the space in sexual, maternal, productive, and adolescent health experience, and also project management. He is currently with the UNFPA, which is the United Nations Population Fund. He has vast experience in the global economy and the global development space, and how we can also bridge that gap. And I am personally excited to hear what he has to say. And as our last speaker, please let's give a round of applause for him as he comes onto the stage. A virtual round of applause, everyone, as he comes on. I'm sure Dr. Babatunde will be on soon. Let's just give it a minute. Okay, I'm sure there's just a slight technical issue. Just so we stick to time while we wait for him to hopefully join in. We'll move on to the next segment, question and answer. And hopefully, while we're just answering some questions, he will join on. I hope that some of you have put in some questions, and because this has been a very, very rich conversation. And I would like to ask our speakers some questions in relation to today's topic, because I'm sure we are eager to learn and gain some insights or more insights in addition to everything that has been said. So I think our first question will be to our speakers: how can government and private sector leaders bridge the skills gap to create more employment opportunities? How can government and private sector leaders bridge the skills gap to create more employment opportunities? I think Mr. Rontimi, since you popped up first.
Thank you very much. In terms of government and private sector building, bridging the skills gap, I think that there are quite a couple of initiatives that I know, and maybe there are many more, of governments trying their best to bridge the skills gap. One of such in IT is the one that is led by the Minister of Communications Technology, NITDA, which is called the 3MTT program. I don't know if some of you already know it. It's a program that hopes to build the capacity of young people on ICT skills. It's a free program. it's been run. I think the target is to reach 3 million young Nigerians from all over the federation. So that's one program. Another program that I know that is led by private sector in Nigeria is called the Tony Elumelu Entrepreneurship Fund, where the foundation tries to give, I think, $5,000 in grants to support businesses run by young people, not only in Nigeria but across Africa. I know several young people who have won that award, who have won $5,000 to support their business. $5,000 in today's economy, I think, should be roughly around 8 million naira. And so you think about what 8 million naira can do. Yes, it's a competitive grant. You have to apply. You have to put in a very solid application. So we have that. But what I always say to young people is we can't wait for government and private sector alone. What are we doing in our own space and with our own time? The social media, you can learn a lot. Today, if you have an internet and you have a mobile phone, there are so many things you can learn from. There are so many online opportunities to train, to learn new skills that are free. There are platforms like EDX, Coursera, where you can learn a new skill, learn certification. There are people now learning about how to be virtual assistants. There's a platform called ALX where you learn that, you get a certification to be a virtual assistant. There are so many opportunities. I think the first thing that young people need to say to themselves is, what do I want to learn? And how do I create the time? Unfortunately, in today's world, there are also many distractions. There's Instagram, there's TikTok, there are things trending in many platforms every day. There's always a distraction every day in Nigeria, and I think it's global as well. There's always something trending, something to talk about. And if you're not careful, you're following the trends, you're not really creating the time to study, to dedicate your time to something, to a skill, to a craft, to learning how to code. I also think that young people also give up quite easily. People want to learn how to code in 6 months and be an expert. It takes lifelong dedication. You have to put in the time and the energy to it. So I always advise young people, focus on what you want to learn, find the opportunities to learn it in your immediate environment, volunteer with organizations, with non-profit, with companies, go and intern. Don't say you're too big to volunteer. Don't say you're too big to intern. It's an opportunity for you to gain skills, right? When you have those skills, then you can monetize those skills and turn them into something quite useful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Toritimi. So I hope that provided some more insights. Yes, there are different programs and interventions that the government are doing, for example, with the Ministry of Communications and the NITDA to facilitate skills development and even open up opportunities to take advantage of the Pact. But it is very critical that we do not wait for government, we do not wait for anyone else. We take advantage, we go online, we look for opportunities, we volunteer, we seek out ways that we can develop and upskill ourselves. I think that has been a common theme, upskilling. And these are opportunities that are available. There are online courses, there are ways you can take internships, there are ways to help yourself as well. I think before we go back to the questions, I believe that Mr. Babatunde is now available. So we can quickly take his presentation. Thank you.
All right. Thank you all. I don't know if you can hear me clearly. I'm so glad to be here. For me, I just want to say that this is the time. This is your time as young people. I don't think you have the best opportunity and chances that you have now compared to any other time. So there's now a framework, there's a policy, there's a globalized, a global coalition to ensure that issues that affect young people are now in the front burner. So this is your time. We have what it takes. Young people, particularly in Nigeria, are resilient people. You have all that it takes for you to be able to excel in whatever thing that you want to do. And just like what all the previous speakers have said, it is important that you begin to recognize all the opportunities that are available, try to form coalitions and networks and stop competition, and then ensure that you do something. It is not about asking what people can do for you, but you doing something and then showcasing all the things that you have done. and then that will be an opportunity for you to be to grow bigger, to become better, and for you to be able to have the different kind of opportunities that we have. Keep on talking about what you can do. Keep on networking. Keep on. You need to come out. People need to see you. People need to recognize what you are doing. And it is when they see and recognize that a lot of support will come. So you have the world at your tip now at this very point in time, because every framework, every policy that we have has never been in alignment like we have today. And you can see that across all various continental structures, against all across all countries, young people have been seen as the game changer to the things that will make us move into the next realm of development. There is the agri value chain, there is the digital economy chain, there is the green economy. There are so many things that are available. The world is now a global environment. So please make use of this opportunity, and I'm sure the sky is just the beginning. Thank you, and over.
Thank you so much, Mr. Babatunde, Dr. Babatunde, for that concise and to the point presentation. Take advantage of the opportunities, leverage your skills, and do not compete. There is enough space, there is enough room, as we had said earlier, as more where there are challenges, there's always room for solutions. So you can take advantage of that. And as you've seen, there are 56 action items in the Pact and 5 thematic areas. So there is enough space and there is enough room. And reality is when we collaborate together, we build together, we grow together. And that is where critical mass comes from. With more people, with little steps, the little drops of water it fills the pot. And I think that is a very valuable insight. And so thank you, Mr. Babatunde, for that. So we'll just quickly go ask maybe 2 more questions because we're already at the top of the hour, and then we will wrap up. So I think I'll ask Mr. Baide this question. How can young persons, startups, and small businesses tap into global funding and investment opportunities to leverage the Pact of the Future and also ensure job and entrepreneurship opportunities for them and their communities?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. I think it's closely related to what Mr. Rotimi had earlier highlighted, the opportunities that we have, on ground here. Yeah, typically, how do you start? How do you start? Very important. Mr. Rotimi said something very critical, which I think we should have even emphasized at the beginning: volunteering. Volunteering. You can't give what you don't have. You can't give what you don't have. And as a result of that, before you begin to apply for this funding, you must have also grown some level of expertise in that area, in that space. You must have also, built network in that space. You can't just wake up to say you want to apply for funding. There are lots of it, lots of grants. Oh my goodness, there are lots of it. And believe you me, you keep trying, you will get. I was in a conversation with some young gentleman 2 days ago. I met him on the floor of the UN, and we got talking. And the gentleman, as young as he is, has been able to, harness fundings as high as $5 million, $1 million, $100,000 honestly. But what did he leverage on? How did he start? From our conversation, I could make deductions from how he started as a young person. He started volunteering first, volunteered, gained insight, gained expertise, then, came out of it, got, built some good network, himself and his co-founders, they came together and, from that point, did some work as well, some visible, tangible work that people could see as a result of that expertise he had built from volunteering. And from that space, they moved ahead. And today, they literally run all their projects on grants, not even with their personal money anymore. So what am I trying to say? You must start from somewhere. You can't just say you want to apply for grants or you would find grants. You must start from somewhere. And of course, we have people like Tony Elumelu Foundation that constantly gives out, this grants as well to people. But even as indigenous as it is, Elumelu Foundation, remember, you still have to show. You still have to go, when you go through the application process, you still have to show you what you want to do, or what you are currently doing, or what you have done. So it means that there must be some tangibles, some evidence to show that you're ready and you're very serious. So yes, how do you start? Start first, build expertise, build network, meet people, form a coalition, form a group. You can't always do it alone. I tell people, when the SDGs goal 17 emphasized partnerships for the goals, it wasn't capping. Let me use your slang now. It wasn't, that goal is not capping. That goal is what it is. That goal is there to ensure that there is actually success, there is development. And how do you do that? Well, just one person cannot drive it. And that's why even at the United Nations, they are constantly appealing. Yesterday, the General Assembly president was literally appealing. Young people, please, make this a buzzword. Please, speak about it. Please drive implementation. Because they know they can't even do it alone. Even at the United Nations, they can't do it alone. But guess what? They need us. We need them. And so it's a collaborative effort. At the end of the day, it is possible. I mean, there are a lot of grants you can apply for, tons of them. Scholarships as well to also upskill, a lot of them are also available, and just take advantage of it. Do not water down the use of your social media. I tell people, when I tell my story of how I got into the first 2 jobs I've had in my life, it wasn't because I knew someone or because I was too brilliant. No. One thing that worked for me as a young person is actually that audacity, and of course that passion to actually work. And of course, you have to show that you have such passion and leverage on social media. I bet you leverage on social media. Fresh out of NYSC, in fact, before the NYSC ended, this would be a conversation for another day. But hey, look, just do what you have to do. Do what you have to do. I mean, you're more than enough. You have what it takes. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that answer. I think it captures everything. Before you go to looking for funding, volunteer, put yourself out there, do the work that is needed to be done to showcase yourself. So essentially a proof of concept. You need to show the evidence that you can deliver, and you can get that through volunteering. Even if you say there are no opportunities, you can always volunteer. And then you can look, and as speaker said, there's so many opportunities for fundings. A young person getting up to 5 million in funding. So that may not necessarily be the issue. It's even proving that you can do the work by doing the work and seeking out those opportunities and those opportunities for collaboration. Thank you so much. As we are over the hour, we won't be able to take any more questions, but just like say thank you to our speakers. Just before we wrap up, I will call on Mr. Tayo Olusunde, our host, to just give us a closing remark. But I would like to say thank you to our speakers. Thank you for our interactive community and the insights that have been gained today. I want to believe that we will take them. We will not just sit on them. We will take them and apply them put them to action. We will go and sit and munch on the Pact of the Future, see ways we can leverage the opportunities that have been shown to us here, and we will do our own research and take advantage of that. Thank you again to our host for this opportunity and for this session. This is going to be one of a series of sessions which will be very timely and insightful. Thank you again. My name is Nella Ndemawa, and it's been a pleasure hosting you. I will hand over to Mr. Tayo Olusunde for closing remarks. Thank you.
Opportunity. Oh, fantastic. Awesome. Dr. Babatunde, I will also call him, Dr. Lawale Rotimi and Dr. Abiade. All of them have given us some amazing insights that we need to take away with. One of the things you can guarantee every single time we put up together a session like this is that we want to achieve 3 things: to inform, to inspire, to involve. Those are the three things we always want to put together: to inform, to inspire, to involve. What does that mean? Give you this bulk information that will give you the light bulb in your brain. Wow, I also can get a job immediately after my NYSC, no matter what you are doing right now. Everybody on this call right now, you stand a chance to be able to identify what you are going to do after NYSC. Or if we are already out of NYSC, you can today identify a path and one area of the 5 thematics that you want to pursue. So the number one mandate I'm giving to you, we are given to you by all the speakers, is what exactly do you want? Which one of the goal of the SDGs do you want to embrace? Right? Which one of the goal of the SDGs? So there are a couple of links being shared right now. One of them is the attendance form. It's very important that you fill the attendance form for continuous engagement. The secondly also is we also share with you, a form about what is called my SDG, and that's the starting point. That is the starting point. It's like you need to identify one of the SDGs that aligns with your own career aspiration. That is how to do it. If you want to get a job in the Pact of the Future, or you want to build a business, the first place to do is go and identify one of the 17 goals of the SDGs that you want to identify as aligning properly with your career aspiration. No matter what you want to do, the first point is go and identify. If you attend this session today and you don't do that, you just wasted your time. So go and look for the SDGs. I'm very sure our team is going to also drop the link. Go and identify one of the SDGs that aligns with your career aspiration. That is the starting point. Because if you don't know where you are going, then it's going to be very difficult for you to know what you need to do. Go and look for one of the SDGs that aligns with your career aspiration. It is what we call mainstreaming the SDG into your career. What job, what business do you want to build? Go, even if you're a tailor. I have my guys, joining us all the way from Maiduguri. Amazing. I appreciate you guys. These guys are amazing. I went to Maiduguri in December, and I met some of the most amazing, smart young men. Trust me, they are all over this place. I so many of them join. And these guys already, we met only in 1 month. Their transactions and their product is already getting market in the global north. Why? Because they have learned how to leverage technology to kind of layer their skill. Whatever you are doing right now, whether it is a tailor, whatever you are doing, you can really tweak and take it to the next level by understanding how the Pact for the Future has come to more like kind of redefine that skills that you have. Because we talk about how to get jobs and build business out of the Pact of the Future. What he's saying basically is whatever had stopped many people from getting a job, all you have to do is to layer some of the principle of the Pact of the Future on what you are doing. The current thing you are doing, the job, the business you are doing, or the career you want to pursue, just layer some of the principles of the Pact of the Future. And what are some of all those principles? Number one that I love so much is to realize that every human need is a human right. So once you see that this is a human need that up to 10,000 people really, really need, that is a human right. So what you need to do is find a way to ensure you develop your solution, whether it's your business or your career. Find a way to position it like, look, people need this. And when you're telling your story about how to be a tailor, you are telling a tailor from a perspective of sustainability, from a perspective, and that's what is going to, jobs are getting redefined. That's exactly what I meant to say. The existing jobs are getting redefined based upon the Pact. If you don't layer your career, your entrepreneurship opportunity with these emerging principles, then your job or your career is going to become obsolete. The shelf life of everything, including those who are selling things on the road, is so short. But what's going to make what you are doing to become relevant and to become very sustainable job or well-paying job, you layered it. And if you don't understand what we are saying, there's going to be another session next week, because it's going to be like a series. We're going to bring you about four young people who are already layering their career, doing their NYSC, with some element of Pact for the Future, and we're going to have an interview with them. You can glean and learn from them, and so that you can layer your own career or your business with the part of the future. So somebody says, okay, I'm working for somebody, my PPA right now, or I work for an organization. How do I take my job to the next level? What you need to do is just study how, for example, AI is going to really redefine jobs. Then begin to build skill. So you move from what you're currently doing to an AI empowered career. And what does that mean? It means that you are redefining your job. So those who are going to lose their jobs are the people who are unable to mutate or gravitate towards a new level as the Pact is being defined. And so, like I said, human rights, every human need is a human right. Once you think about it like that, put a naira value on every human problem, then begin to think about how do I leverage technology to more like take this to the next level. The next and the final thing I'm going to say also is become a social entrepreneur. So there are two levels you can actually redefine your career or your business. Number one is to be an entrepreneur. Number two is to be a social entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is an entrepreneur within an enterprise. The days are gone when you are looking for a job that pays you well, that trains you. Know what you do today in order for you to get that job. And I can guarantee you, every one of you on this call today, you can actually have a sustainable, good job immediately after your NYSC or whatever you are doing right now. If you don't know how to do it, we dropped a link to also the LinkedIn group for the Pact. Join that LinkedIn group. Our goal is to ensure with Olawale Rotimi, with Abiade and all the other members who are not here, from the CBN, from all the other networks, to ensure that we unhold anyone that joined our network. If in 3 months you can identify a clear goal that leads to a job, to lead to a business, we encourage you to leave the group. If you join in the 3 months and we're able to take you to the eight weeks career or job incubation process, and it's free, completely free, nobody's collecting money. It's a network, the coalition that we have formed to say how we can help Nigerian youth to layer the principle of the Pact on their current jobs or entrepreneurship pursuit. And you will suddenly see that what you think was not in existence is only because you can imagine somebody say, I am a typewriter, and you are typing old typewriter, whereas the same keyboard that you are typing in typewriter is what you are typing in front of a laptop. The same skill you need to do, but where and how are you doing it? That is what this is all about, and we have done it for 15 years. Everyone that has actually been consistently engaging in what we're doing, always find a sustainable job and career. So those are some of the things I want to say. I don't know whether your questions were answered, whether you have further questions. I encourage you, number one, find the SDG that aligns with your career. If you don't do that, you just wasted your time. Number two, join the LinkedIn group and ask questions. Let's work with you to ensure that in the next 3 months, you are able to say, this is my own career, this is my entrepreneur, this is what I'm doing, and I'm grateful, and I'm good. And just like what one of the speakers said, areas of advocacy, areas of training, areas of funding, areas of project coordination, sustainability lens is what's going to provide the next dimension of job. So within the hours we are supposed to close, but we're about 17 minutes above that hour. So I want to say a big thank you to all our speakers one more time. Like I said, next week, Thursday again, there's going to be about 4 young people here coming to talk to you how some of these things we are discussing, they have applied it, and there's going to be a question and answer session so that you also can realize that if young people can do it, you don't have no excuse. There is no excuse in Nigeria right now. If you're not doing and you're not making progress, it's only because you are limited in information. That's why this platform, Youth Are Here, have been set up to help you identify, number one, what do I want to do as far as the SDG is concerned? How do I want to leverage technology to take my business to the next level? How do I want to layer my own life and skills and talent with the Pact of the Future and take my own part in these global resources? And I believe that as you do that, you will suddenly realize that jobs are not difficult to find. Most businesses are looking for somebody that can help to pivot their business to the next level using some of this sustainability skill. So if you don't know how to help businesses to use sustainability skill to do accounting, for example, you can be an accountant and never get a job. So leveraging the sustainability element in the Pact of the Future is what is going to help you to know how to help your employer or how to pivot your own business to the next. So let's see you next week. Join the WhatsApp group, identify your SDG, sign your attendance, and let's put the hands together for our moderator, our speaker, and all the people that have made this event happen. At the back again, we have Bukumi, we have Mercy, we have all the LGIs that have made this today a result. Next is going to be bigger, it's going to be better, and I look forward to having you all even on that session. I'll get back to you, Mayowa, or the team who are coordinating this, but we've had an amazing time, and I look forward to another beautiful success story coming out of this even by next week. Thank you very much, and see you.
All right, thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Messi. Thank you, Ewa. All right, thank you so much. I think it's a great time to actually give a shout out to everyone who actually do this, make this happen. And to many of us, all our community managers, our schedule officers, want to say big thank you so much for the amazing work that you've done to actually see that our youths are well developed and deployed, and well rewarded. Yeah, for the good of all. Thank you so much, sir, for the amazing platform for our youths. Yeah, so we are going to draw the curtain here, and I believe questions are being done and dusted right now. If you still have questions that you want to ask us, feel free to reach out to us on all our social media platforms. And also do where to follow us not only on YouTube YouTube channel, also follow us also on LinkedIn. Twitter is also very important so that all these opportunities and many other updates around youth development can easily be reached out to you, can be shared with you. Thank you so much, sir, for the platforms. And also, we believe that our youth are here to make the impact to our world. Thank you so much, and let's enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you, sir.